today I'll be cleaning the engine bay of the 180 and also taking off all the accessories and things we don't need in there before it goes away for paint soon. And I thought I'd move on to something more fun that you guys might want to see, which is patching some of the holes in the engine bay. I'll show you guys how dirty it is. This is currently the state that we've got it in. So yuck. We are going to be keeping the AC stuff though. Definitely not pulling that out. So I went and bought this 12 pack of super cheap auto degreasers. I'm just going to jump in there with a microfiber and those tins and start scrubbing and see what we come up with. A common issue when people take motors out too, if you're not careful enough or if other people have done it before, this thing gets squished. It was already squished, so we just decided to squish it more. My S13 one was squished as well. It's just the power steering hard line on the back of the rack. But GK-Tech do a replacement for this line and this line. This is what the line is meant to look like that comes out of there. But GK-Tech do replacement lines for these, and I prefer the GK-Tech ones. So the plan for the moment is to obviously clean everything up, strip the bay, take everything out except for the brake booster, because I still want brakes until it's like ready to paint. I'm gonna get rid of this fuel pressure regulator. Hopefully I'll be able to get a GFB one because they're so much better. The power steering as well, that'll have to all get modified. The good thing is I've done most of this with the S13. It's pretty much the same. I am gonna do the AN power steering line conversion again, which again GK-Tech set. I already know how to do that, so we'll figure that out later on. But for this video we're just gonna do the cleaning and the stripping of the bay. So there's this big power wire going to like some taped up wires, like, and then some smaller wires. Looks like maybe it went on the alternator. It's probably the alternator and the power wire, but it's also integrated into the loom here. It looks dodgy, so I'm just gonna open it. I didn't do this. Could have been the previous guy. So I just want to open it and see what they've done under this sticky tape. Mind you, before we got this car, this was done at a shop. Oh my god! Oh! Look at that! What did they... Oh my god! Oh my god, look at that! That's terrible. So I'm just gonna take the cap off. God. Ew. And I'm gonna just tip it into the bucket. Tell me why it's empty. Hello. So nothing is coming out. I don't know why it did have power steering. I think when I told you about that power steering line, I think when we squished it, it might have leaked out, but that's all we got out of the bucket. Yeah, cool. So I'm taking off the power steering lines, so all the power steering will just come off. Packed it loose. Gonna take it off now so we can get to the other line. Surely that's off now. Might just be stuck in there. It is. Good thinking to myself. So I've undid everything. It should all just pull out. Yep. Here we go. Here is the power steering in one piece. Ta-da! Look at the hands. Look at all this sludge ready. Like, it's so thick. I'm just trying to spray it to kind of like loosen it, and then I'm gonna go in and hit this like heavier stuff with a brush. But this stuff I'll just like wet it and then just wipe it off with a rag. I just took the fuse box off so I could hang all this wiring over here. Look at like all this like just like junk down in this rusty little corner. Also, look at this. the previous owner cut out this wonky, rusty, dodgy inner core hole. So I've got this to like scrape off the really heavy like excess stuff. See down here in the corner, it's like all thick, and I've just got it to like scrape it on the ground. But my idea was to start on this side and work my way around to the other side, but this is uncomfortable. So I think I'm going to clean this power steering rack area down here so I can sit on it. But as you can see, it's like, it's quite, like, that's how thick it is. So it'll probably take me a little while. That's what it looks like up close. Oh. So I was just scrubbing this. Do you see that? And I was like, what the freaking hell? Ew! Someone tell me what that is! Why is it? What? Ew! When I hosed the worms, I just hosed here a little bit. It came off pretty good here as well. I just gave it a bit of a hose and I took the loom out. I had to film a reel for Instagram. It's starting to clean up nicely. Just gonna keep going with it and then maybe take this AC stuff off too. Only unbolting the AC stuff. I just unbolted it from here. It's all connected here, so I'm just gonna take them off these two, and then hopefully it'll all be able to pull out as one. So it's all undone now. This all just gonna come off again in one piece. It's getting cleaner down here, as you can see. It's not like a thick mess like back there. So I'm just going to keep going at it with the hose and the degreaser. I thought I'd cut the cleaning and the removal a little bit shorter towards the end there. It did get a little bit boring for me. So I thought I'd move on to something more entertaining for you guys, which is patching some of the holes in the 180's engine bay. So I got this little floppy disc 120 grit just to try and get like any paint or rust off. As well as this, it's like less abrasive and less harsh than a floppy disc, like a stripper, like a paint stripper or a strip it disc, I don't know, whatever. Two different discs, the grinder for the discs obviously, and a sander as well to get in anywhere we need. So that's what I got so far, as well as the little MIG welder and the gas as well. Just took the bonnet off. Let's get in there and show you the holes. So this hole is a hole we have to go buy steel for that I'm not doing today. But it's really big, really ugly. It's so uneven, it's just chunky. I'm not dealing with that. So some of these little holes over here. So I just had to go and like see what holes that we were gonna cover up. So I've just circled them all. There is a crack in like some bog down there. I'm not sure what'll happen when I sand it off. There's also a split where the brake lines go through. That's in the metal, and over this side as well. See, you can see the light in that one. There you go. There's a big split there. I'm not sure how that happened. And as well back here, I'm not sure how we're gonna get to that, or if we're gonna get to that today. But you can see the big split in the chassis at the back there. It's quite a decent split. I'm gonna sand the holes with this because I think it's gonna be the less abrasive thing that I have. I am cutting these tubs out like my S30, and I'll put a picture here. But I am gonna practice on these holes here because that's gonna get thrown out anyway. So I'll practice on these little holes, and then we'll get into covering up the other holes and splits that I've circled. Just did a little bit of sanding for a reel. I'm gonna go ahead and sand the paint off these ones. I hate the grinder. I haven't welded in like ages, and I already wasn't the best. This is probably gonna look really ugly, but we'll see. The welding wire was getting stuck, so I'm trying again. That's what I got. It's lumpy, it's ugly, but I'm gonna hit it with the floppy disc now and see what it turns into. There's a tiny little hole, but I mean, like, for the first try, that's not that bad. Like, that's my first go in like 6 to 8 months. I don't know, I can't remember. I'm gonna go ahead and have another go at these ones. Maybe I'll try and cover that little hole as well. Yeah. So this was my second attempt. I just did this hole. You can't even see it anymore, but it was like this hole. It was like here. It's completely gone. It's just a little dimple there where the metal is all uneven, and this is just practice, so I'm not gonna worry. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this one, and that one, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when I come back. I'm gonna go film some reels and sand it all back, and I'll be back. I just welded those last 2 holes, practice holes up. I think the metal is really thin on these because I'd already flappy disked it. Obviously I won't flappy disc the other areas, but they were so hard to cover in certain spots because the metal is so thin. But that's what I've got so far. I'm gonna go ahead and flappy disc it now and show you guys what the end result of these 2 are. So I'll be right back. That's pretty much where we're at now. They're just test pieces, so I'm obviously not going to go sand them back flat. And the tub's been beat at quite a lot, so obviously all uneven. It's just going to get cut out. I'm going to go ahead and try on these nicer holes down here now. So I just did these ones for an Instagram reel as an example on some flat steel, and they came out really, really good. So this is what I ended up with. There was a hole here and a hole there. Just gave it a little bit of a sand, and now we're going to go over it with some primer filler just to get rid of the bare metal, so it won't rust while we do the rest of the holes, because this might take more than a day. So this is where we're at so far. The yellow lines we marked on either side of the shock tower is where we're not going to weld any holes behind that. We just did these ones here. You can see there's a little bit of dimple there. It just needs a little tiny bit of filler to just even out the little tiny, it's not a crack, it's just a bit of unevenness in the weld. You can't even tell the one I did here, which is great. There's bog already there, so I'm not going to weld any of that because I don't want to open that can of worms. I'll just bog over that. We're back a different day, put on the same clothes, so it looks like it's on the same day, but it's not. I'm going to go ahead and finish drilling the holes in this side of the bay today. Just going to do the ones on the front of the shock tower. I bought some of these sanding pad discs for the sander. I got some 120 grit, 240 grit and 400 grit to do some hand sanding. Last time you guys seen, I covered the weld area with some primer just so it didn't rust. Now I'm back to sand off that light layer of primer just so I can put some bog over the welding area to just get rid of these little pinholes in it. So it's a pretty hot and humid day. I'm just gonna let that sit for a bit, sand it off, and then we'll see what it looks like. So this bog over here is relatively dry. I've got a 240 grit on here to take most of it off, and then I'll go through and hand sand that to get the fine finish with probably 400 grit because we don't have 360. So we worked our way through the grit so far. I'm at 400 now. You can see where it's covered in the dimples. This dimple's a bit big. Might need to retouch that, but these ones you can see it's sunk into the metal, so it feels really smooth and really nice. As you can see, we don't have a thick layer of bog, and it's like fanning at the edges as well. See here, you see you can't feel the ridge, so that'll come up really nicely when I prime over it again. So I did the first coat for an Instagram reel. I'm going to go ahead and do the second coat now, and then I'll come back to you when it's fully covered so you can see how it looks. So that's where we're at. Don't worry about the little bits of flaky stuff. We do have to sand the whole bay. Just wanted to prime the bodywork because you can't leave bog exposed to the elements. Pretty happy with how that came out. The 2 holes are gone and it looks really, really smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and weld up these holes now. We're going to bog those and undercoat those. I just did these 2. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones off camera. Flappy disc them down and then I'll come back to you guys. That's with it welded and flappy disc. Now we're going to go ahead and use bog on those little pinholes just to get a nicer finish. That's with the light layer of bog on it. I'm gonna go ahead and sand it off and show you guys the result. So this is what we ended up with. There's a slight little rough patch there. I'll just sand shortly, but that I'm really happy with that. If I have one, I'll put a before picture here directly beside it so we can compare, but I'm really happy with how that looks. So that's basically it for what I wanted to show you guys, how I'm going to do the bay. Just going to repeat the steps on the other side and sand the bay and undercoat it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, and don't forget to subscribe.